Hi, I'm Luke Scott with WebGem, and here we're going to speak about hitting, something a little bit different than what we normally talk about. We're going to change gears for you a little bit, a little extra credit, a little added information to give you some tips on the offensive side of the game. As an introduction, I want to begin by saying when I was playing towards the end of my career, I began to look at the greatest hitters of history and my contemporaries, the best of the best, for example, like Miguel Cabrera and Robinson Cano, Josh Hamilton in his prime, and Mike Trout. Watching these guys play, I wanted to see what made them, besides their talent and their ability, how were they able to be consistently good all the time, and what they were able to do with the baseball and how their body moved to have them hit baseballs in certain locations on the plate to parts of the field that I wasn't able to do at the time. So I saw an example, one game I was watching Josh Hamilton hit a home run off one of our left-handed pitchers, Brian Burris, on a fastball, elevated inside, probably about this high, and he hit to center field for a home run. Ball was crowding him inside corner. Same thing in 2012. I saw Robinson Cano take a David Price fastball inside here, about this high, 106, 108 mile an hour exit velocity to center field. Same game, Jake McGee, 97 in here, bullet to center, whereas if he got under it, it would have been a home run. And I began to question, like, how are they able to do that? There's something the way they're moving their bodies that assisted them to be able to repeat that move to where this could be possible. Instead of barrel hooking a ball on a ball crowding you, where this is the area where you're limited to, these guys could go all over the field on this particular pitch. So I started to think about who was going to be my main focal point on who to study, and there's no one better than Barry Bonds. If you understand hitting and what he was able to do in his prime, and people can talk about his, if he had help or whatnot, it's the way his body moved and the pitch locations that he did it on. Not only fair down the line, but he could drive this ball at this location to right center in San Francisco at night, where the ball doesn't carry to that side of the field if anyone's ever hit there, and hit balls into the water 450 plus feet in those conditions and at that location. So I would say for the next couple years, I really began to grind out Barry Bonds at bats and really study his movements, why he would hitch and tip the barrel, and I would practice it and try and relate to it. In short, it took me, I got about a 2/3 revelation of it, and I applied it to my career, and when it was working right, it was amazing. I mean, foul pole to foul pole power, the ability to wait on the ball inside. You weren't limited to trying to have to get the barrel way around like this and hit its right field, playing with the foul line. I was able to let the ball travel, drive the ball, crowd me to the middle part of the field. But since I only had a 2/3 revelation of it, I had a hard time reproducing it. I would lose the feel, and I struggled with it. So eventually I walked away from the game and got involved in some tactical training and martial arts. And one day I was we were manipulating the body, throwing, doing judo throws and things like that. And all the dots began to connect, the missing pieces that I was lacking. I got the full revelation of it. It was 2016 summer. I picked up a bat, went to the cage just to test out what I was getting downloaded into my mind, and I put the ball up and in here, and I started to think about the movements and the positions of the body, and I began to put it together, and I took a few swings, and it's like, oh my gosh, I unlocked this revelation. Give you a story. That summer, a friend of mine, Aaron Judge, he got called up to the big leagues, struggled. The league was really elevating fastballs, crowding them, then throwing those max effort breaking balls. and he was swinging over top of him because he was sped up and had to get everything going earlier, and so he was susceptible to the ball up, in, and then the hard breaking balls, working down and away. And I texted him after the season and just said, hey man, be encouraged. I got a revelation that I can share with you. It's going to change your life, and make some time for me this off season. So we worked together at our agent's facility in California and spent about 4 weeks working twice a day, him and some other players, and really got the revelation down. And he took the information I gave him and ran with it. Obviously, he's doing really well for himself. But to his credit, he took it and worked really hard, made it his own. So that is a basic introduction. I can go into very deep detail on each element of these points that I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to keep it very simple and very basic today, and see what type of traction we get, if there's any desire to learn more, and how to proceed from that point. So stay tuned for the first step.
Yay!
Okay, to begin with, I'm going to break these three. There's going to be 3 points I'm going to break down, and I'm going to keep it as simple as possible for time's sake. And at any future point, we can expound upon and go into greater detail on each of these points. But I want to compare a major league swing to ice cream. So to make ice cream, there's 3 essential ingredients that you cannot do without. You have to have butter, sugar, and heavy whipping cream. If you miss any one of those ingredients, you cannot make ice cream. It is impossible. So there's 3 principles or truths about having a major league swing, a powerful swing, an efficient swing that you cannot avoid. These principles, these truths have to be applied. And the first one that I'm going to talk about very basically is your lower half, and it's your hip load. So if you hit and you don't get into your core and your hip, you cannot fire. You're not using all of your power. You're not in a position to where you can really turn your barrel with bat speed and hit the ball with the most authority that your physical body can possibly do. So let's relate it to throwing a baseball, right? If I don't load my hip, if I just pick my leg up, and I stay tall here and I don't drop into my hip and I just drift forward like that, you can see that my body, I'm going to use my arm to do all the heavy lifting. It's going to do almost all the work exclusively. Very simply put, if I pick my leg up as a pitcher, I'm going to sink into my hip, into my rear. It's going to be connected all to my core here. That's a position where I can really throw a baseball as hard as I can. The second element to have a major league swing, an efficient major league swing, is the counter rotation or tension that the body has to get to, the unraveling process of the swing. So once you've loaded your hip, whether you've loaded it early like a Bonds or a Cabrera, Bonds loaded it early with his toe tap, Cabrera would sink in his hips early and do the circular load and transfer. If you're a guy like Robinson Cano or Aaron Judge, who are gliders, they kind of come up, but as they go forward, they drop into their hip. It's all the same thing. It's their flavor of ice cream. That's one thing that is customizable for each player, is your flavor is your own. However process you need to get there, where it's leg kick, toe tap, stride and fire, glider, whatever it may be, whatever works for you to produce that feel to repeat the movement is what is going to be customizable for you as an individual. So really quick, the second point is your body has to get into a point of tension or torque. And in this case, your lower half, you have 2 parts of your body. In this explanation, you got your lower half and your upper half. Your lower half, once you've loaded and your hips are starting to turn, your hips are going to start to turn, and your upper half is going to resist that move right here, to where your body gets in this position where your lower half is unraveled a little bit, Your upper half doesn't go with it, but it holds pointing towards the opposite middle infielder here. Now this is a counter-rotated position where I have a lot of torque in my body. Picture a bow and arrow pulled back. The only thing you have to do at this point is let the arrow fly. All the work has been done. So this is a position with the body where this is how you generate easy power. Easy power is all done by position, whether I want to throw someone in judo. I got to get my body in that counter-rotated position. So if I get here, hips unravel, they begin to turn, my upper body holds against it. Picture me throwing a baseball as hard as I can. Same position if I'm going to hit a baseball. So it's all biomechanics, it's not rocket science. So once again, hips loaded, your stride goes forward, you begin that weight transfer, your hips begin to open here, and your upper half is going to resist it. Holding here. Once it gets to this spot, we'll go on to point 3, which is the last and final step needed to have a major league swing. Okay, now on for the final point. Once you've gotten to, you've loaded your hip, your body begins to unravel correctly. The last thing is to finish the swing is the barrel has to turn behind you. The hands don't push forward, you don't work high to low, you don't throw the barrel. The barrel actually works in reverse, this way, right here. The barrel must turn behind you, this way. What that does, once my swing begins to unravel, right, I'm developing bat speed deep in the zone, and I'm going to channel all this energy that I'm gathering back here, and my turn is going to swing it around into the baseball. All that torque is going to create a whipping action. It's going to bring it from deep. This is how you get deep, or bat speed deep in the zone with power, and then that will translate to power to the opposite field, and you're just going to swing it around into the baseball. Also, it hides the barrel behind your body. So from this angle, if I throw my hands, the barrel swings out, it gets exposed. At this contact point, crowd me, at inside fastball that gets on me, I get sawed off. Let my barrel turn behind me, I get to this point and I keep my turn going, the barrel stays close to me. This way, now I get to the inside fastball. Even at this contact point, I can shoot a baseball up the middle for a base hit. The whole field begins to open up for me as a hitter. It's harder for the guy on the mound to speed me up with that good fastball inside, that cutter, anything that's going to cause, the ball to crowd me. If you miss any one of these elements, loading the hip, getting counter-rotated, and the barrel turning behind you, it's impossible. It's impossible to have an elite major league swing, and there's going to be some level of exposure that the pitcher's going to have a safe place to go to where he can get you out. It's all biomechanics, it's not rocket science. Once you figure this out, if anyone who's a martial artist, jiu-jitsu guy, judo guy will tell you on how you get your hips and your body counter-rotated to throw somebody or perform a movement where technique is always going to win over strength. So I hope these tips help. Give us your feedback. If you have any other questions or any desire to go deeper into this, we'll think about putting out some more videos and start going down the layers, because there's a lot of information to expound upon this. So WebGem, love your glove. Little extra credit tips for everyone out there on the offensive side as well.